The massive screen in Earth's Global Defense Command Center lit up with an unexpected signal. Admiral James Walker stood frozen, his coffee cup halfway to his lips, as the alien transmission cut through centuries of human speculation about being alone in the universe. The creature on screen looked almost reptilian, with smooth gray scales and piercing yellow eyes. Its uniform sparkled with medals and decorations, suggesting high rank and authority. Behind it, the bridge of an alien warship stretched into the distance, filled with similar beings working at strange consoles. People of Earth, the aliens spoke in perfect English, courtesy of their advanced translation systems. I am Lord Vex, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Empire's expansion fleet. Your world has been chosen for integration into our glorious empire. Surrender now, and you shall be granted the privilege of serving as our newest subject race. Admiral Walker placed his coffee down slowly. At 60 years old, with gray hair and battle-hardened eyes, he had spent his entire career preparing for this moment. He looked around the command center, where dozens of officers sat in stunned silence. Open a channel, he ordered, his voice steady and calm. The young communications officer, Pete Miller, nodded and pressed several buttons. Channel open, sir. Walker stepped forward, standing straight and proud. Lord Vex, I am Admiral James Walker of the United Earth Defense Force. We appreciate your invitation. However, we must decline. The alien's face showed what might have been amusement. Admiral, perhaps you misunderstand. This is not a request. The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We have conquered millions of worlds. Your primitive civilization cannot hope to resist. Walker smiled slightly. Lord Vex, let me tell you something about humans. We spent thousands of years fighting each other. Every time we made a new weapon, we made a better defense. Every time we faced defeat, we found a way to survive. We've turned war into an art form. The alien commander laughed, the sound harsh and grating. Many species talk bravely before their defeat, Admiral. None have ever successfully resisted the Empire. Walker's smile faded. Then let me be clear. We are not like the others. We're not some peaceful race that developed technology before learning to fight. We created nuclear weapons before we went to space. We built killer robots while still burning fossil fuels. We mastered quantum physics while still fighting over territory. He paused, letting his words sink in. This is not arrogance, Lord Vex. This is a warning. Leave Earth alone, for your own safety. The massive alien fleet hanging above Earth's orbit was visible through the command center's windows. 5,000 ships, each larger than the biggest human vessels. Lord Vex gestured to them with a clawed hand. You dare threaten the Empire? Look above you, Admiral. My fleet could turn your world to ash. Could it? Walker asked quietly. Are you certain? Because I see 5,000 targets, Lord Vex. 5,000 chances for you to learn why every spacefaring race should have feared finding humans. For the first time, a flicker of uncertainty crossed the alien commander's face. Something in Walker's tone, perhaps, or the complete lack of fear in his eyes, gave Lord Vex pause. You have one planetary rotation to surrender, Lord Vex said finally. After that, we will demonstrate the Empire's power. The transmission cut off. Walker turned to his staff, all watching him intently. Send the signal to all defense platforms, he ordered. Wake up the AI systems, and get me the World Council. They need to know that the war we've been preparing for since the atomic age is finally here. As his orders were carried out, Walker walked to the window. The alien ships glittered like stars against the black of space. Humanity had spent centuries wondering if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew the answer, and it wasn't friendly. We warned you, he whispered to the distant fleet. Whatever happens next is on your heads. In the depths of space, hidden from the Empire's sensors, Earth's automated defense systems began to power up. The war that would change the galaxy was about to begin, and humanity was ready. After all, they had been practicing for this their entire existence. General Mary Stone walked into the World Council chamber carrying a small black device. The room fell silent as she approached the central podium. Representatives from every nation on Earth watched her, their faces illuminated by the holographic displays showing the Imperial fleet still hanging above their planet. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice firm and clear, "what I'm about to show you is why we told the Empire to run." She placed the device on the podium. A hologram sprang to life, showing Earth's complete military capabilities. The representatives leaned forward, many seeing this information for the first time. For the past 50 years, while we pretended to focus on civilian space exploration, we've been preparing for this day. Project Guardian has created defenses that the Empire cannot imagine. The hologram changed, showing massive orbital platforms hidden in plain sight. Our quantum shield technology can absorb any known energy weapon and redirect it. We have 10,000 automated defense satellites disguised as space debris. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a ship 10 times its size. The council president, an older man named Bill Thompson, raised his hand. "General, the Empire claims to have conquered millions of worlds. What makes you think our defenses will be enough?" Stone smiled. "Because, Mr. President, we cheated." She pressed another button, and the hologram showed a new image. "While other races developed space travel and then created weapons, we did it backwards. We made weapons first, then adapted them for space." The hologram displayed a complex network of quantum-linked satellites. Our eye defense system, nicknamed Watchdog, has run over 1 million combat simulations. It knows every possible attack pattern, every weakness, every strategy. She paused, letting the information sink in. "But our real advantage is something else. Something the Empire would never expect." The display changed again, showing Earth's hidden shipyards on the dark side of the moon. "We have ships, council members, lots of them, but not the kind the Empire would recognize." The hologram zoomed in on vessels that looked nothing like traditional spacecraft. They were dark, angular, and bristling with weapons that seemed to bend the light around them. "These are our ghost ships," Stone explained. "No crew, no life support systems, just weapons, shields, and advanced AI. We can lose 100 of them and not risk a single human life." A representative from India stood up. "How many do we have?" 20,000, Stone replied, "all hidden in quantum bubbles around the solar system. The Empire's scans can't detect them because they're technically not in our dimension until we need them." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Stone waited for quiet before continuing. "We also have this." She showed them one final image, a small, innocent-looking probe. "We call it the logic bomb. Once activated, it hacks any computer system it encounters. But instead of destroying them, it asks one simple question. Do you want to die for your Empire today?" The council president leaned forward. "Psychological warfare." Stone nodded. The Empire's soldiers had never faced real resistance. They'd never had to question their choices. "We're going to make them think, make them doubt, and doubting soldiers make mistakes." Just then, Admiral Walker's voice came over the chamber's speakers. "General, the Empire's deadline expires in 1 hour." Stone looked at the council members. "We don't need your permission to defend Earth. That authority was granted years ago. But you should know what's coming. The Empire thinks they're about to show us their power." She smiled grimly. "Instead, they're about to learn why humans spent centuries scaring ourselves with stories about alien invasions. We weren't afraid of aliens. We were imagining what we would do if we were them." The council chamber was silent as her words sank in. Above them, the Empire's fleet began moving into attack position, unaware that they were being watched by thousands of hidden eyes. The Empire had given humans 1 day to surrender. Instead, humans had used that day to deploy their forces and prepare their counterattack. The Empire was about to learn why their warning had been so specific. Run. Because humans didn't want to fight, but they were very, very good at it. Commander Tom Richards watched the tactical display as the Empire's deadline passed. Right on schedule, their ships began moving forward. He stood in the hidden command center deep inside Moonbase Alpha, his hands clasped behind his back. "They're launching their first wave," reported his sensor officer, Mike Davis. 500 ships, mainly smaller attack craft. They're heading straight for our orbital stations. Richards nodded calmly. Just as predicted. They want to test our defenses with their expendable forces. He touched his earpiece. Watchdog Control, you have permission to activate Defense Pattern 1. In space, thousands of pieces of what looked like orbital debris suddenly came alive. The Empire's ships didn't even notice until the first shots were fired. Sir, Mike's voice rose with excitement. Our quantum cannons are hitting them at 90% accuracy. They're shields. They're not designed for our type of weapons. The tactical display showed enemy ships vanishing one after another. The Imperial vessels tried to return fire, but their energy weapons were absorbed by Earth's quantum shields, making their attacks useless. Incoming transmission from the enemy fleet, called out the communications officer. Richards smiled. Put it through. Lord Vex's face appeared on screen, his scales now a paler shade of gray. What trickery is this? Your debris field. It's impossible. We warned you, Richards replied simply. But you didn't listen. Watchdog, initiate Phase 2. Around the solar system, quantum bubbles began to burst. The ghost ships appeared like dark angels of death, their AI pilots executing perfect attack patterns. The Empire's ships found themselves surrounded. Sir, Mike reported, the logic bombs are away. They're penetrating the enemy's computer systems. On thousands of Imperial ships, screens suddenly flashed with a simple message in their own language. Do you want to die for your empire today? Your leaders sent you here to die. They didn't know what humans are capable of. But now you do. Choose wisely. The effect was immediate. Several Imperial ships stopped firing. Some began retreating. Others turned their weapons on their own command ships. Lord Vex's face showed pure shock. You're not just fighting us. You're breaking our unity. Richards leaned forward. That's the difference between us, Lord Vex. Your empire rules through fear, but we know true strength comes from making your own choices. Your soldiers are learning that lesson right now. The battle continued for another hour, but it was already over. The Empire's first wave was destroyed or retreated, leaving behind a graveyard of broken ships. Earth's automated defenses hadn't lost a single important asset. Status report, Richards called out. Mike's fingers flew over his console. Enemy casualties, 347 ships destroyed, 98 surrendered, 55 retreated. Our losses, 43 ghost ships and 126 defense platforms, all unmanned. No human casualties. Richards nodded. Send the data to Admiral Walker. He'll want to. Sir, Mike interrupted. The main Imperial fleet is moving. They're launching everything they have. The tactical display showed 4,000 Imperial ships advancing. Lord Vex's face reappeared, now dark with rage. You leave us no choice, he snarled. We will destroy your entire world. Richards looked at the angry alien calmly. No, Lord Vex. You had a choice. We warned you to run. Now you'll face our full response. He turned to his crew. Send the signal to General Stone. Tell her to launch Operation Thunderstrike. As the transmission cut off, Richards watched the Imperial fleet approach. They still didn't understand. This wasn't just a battle. It was humanity's chance to show the galaxy why they had spent centuries preparing for this moment. In the depths of space, more quantum bubbles began to burst. The real war was about to begin, and humanity was done holding back. The Empire was about to learn why humans had been so confident in their warning. Because sometimes the most dangerous enemy isn't the one who threatens you. It's the one who warns you to run away. Captain Lisa Brown stood on the bridge of the Ghost Ship Command Module, watching through neural links as thousands of unmanned ships responded to her thoughts. The Empire's main fleet filled the space before her, their massive ships moving into attack formation. Operation Thunderstrike is ready, she reported to Admiral Walker. All quantum-linked ships are in position. The Empire's attack began with a massive energy barrage that lit up space like a new sun. Their weapons fire was meant to overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer volume. But they still didn't understand what they were fighting. Activate the quantum mirror shields, Brown ordered. The incoming energy weapons fire hit the human defense screen and simply disappeared. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, behind the Imperial fleet, the collected energy reappeared, striking their own ships from the rear. "Sir," Brown's tactical officer reported, "the Empire's losing ships to their own weapons fire. Their rear shields weren't prepared for their own energy signature." The Imperial fleet's neat formation broke apart as ships tried to dodge their own reflected attacks. That's when Brown gave her next order. "Launch the quantum-entangled torpedoes." From the ghost ships emerged thousands of small, dark objects. These weren't normal weapons. Each torpedo was quantum-entangled with a partner, meaning whatever happened to one instantly happened to the other, regardless of distance. The Imperial ships easily destroyed many of the incoming torpedoes, but they didn't realize that destroying one torpedo caused its entangled partner, already safely hidden inside their formation, to explode as well. "My God," someone whispered as Imperial ships began exploding from the inside out. But the Empire wasn't finished. The remaining ships launched a new weapon, massive balls of dark energy that began eating away at anything they touched. "They're using void weapons," Brown reported to Admiral Walker, "just as we expected." Walker's voice came through clear and confident. "Then it's time. Launch the AIAs." Brown nodded and sent the command. From Earth's direction, streams of golden light appeared. Each one contained a human-created artificial intelligence designed to infect and take over enemy systems. "Imperial ships are experiencing massive system failures," her tactical officer reported with satisfaction. "The AIs are rewriting their control systems faster than they can purge them." On her neural display, Brown watched as ship after ship fell silent, their crews trapped inside as the AIs took control. The void weapons winked out of existence as their control systems were overwhelmed. A transmission cut through all channels. Lord Vex appeared, his scales now almost white with fury or fear. "This is impossible," he roared. "You're using forbidden technologies. No race develops AIs this advanced. No one weaponizes quantum entanglement." Brown allowed herself to appear on his screen. "You still don't understand, do you? We didn't follow your rules of technological development. We didn't have your limits. We looked at the universe and asked one question: how can we defend ourselves against anything?" She gestured at the devastation around them. "This isn't even our full capability. We're still holding back, still giving you a chance to retreat." Vex's eyes widened. "Holding back? You dare?" "Launch detected from Imperial flagship." Her tactical officer interrupted. Brown watched as something small and fast shot away from Vex's ship, heading toward Earth at impossible speed. "Planet killer missile," she reported calmly, "just as predicted. Admiral Walker, requesting permission to reveal our final defense." "Granted." Walker's voice was grim. "Show them why we weren't afraid of their weapons." Brown sent the command. Around Earth, space itself seemed to ripple. The planet killer missile hit what looked like empty space and vanished, simply ceased to exist. "What?" Vex's voice trembled. "What did you do?" "We created localized time dilation fields," Brown explained. "Your missile now exists about 10,000 years in the future. We told you to run, Lord Vex. This is your final warning. The next phase won't be as gentle." As if to emphasize her point, another wave of ghost ships emerged from quantum space. The Empire was about to learn that humans had only been playing defense until now. The real battle was about to begin. Dr. Robert Wilson stared at his laboratory screens in Moon Base Alpha, watching as thousands of Imperial pods streaked toward Earth. His team had been expecting this, the Empire's last resort when conventional weapons failed. "Biological warfare," he said into his comm link. "They're launching their entire stockpile of engineered viruses and bacteria." Admiral Walker's voice crackled through the speakers. "Can our nanite defense system handle it?" Wilson smiled as he typed commands into his console. "Admiral, we've been preparing for this since we discovered the first virus on Earth. Activating swarm protocol now. Across Earth's atmosphere, trillions of microscopic robots activated. These nanites were humanity's answer to biological warfare, tiny machines that could identify and destroy any foreign organism. "Look at these readings," Wilson's assistant said, pointing to a screen. "The Empire engineered these diseases to evolve rapidly. They thought we wouldn't be able to adapt fast enough." "They didn't know about our eye-driven nanites," Wilson replied. "Every nanite carries a quantum processor. They evolve faster than any biological organism ever could." On the main screen, they watched as the Imperial pods entered Earth's atmosphere. They burst open, releasing clouds of engineered pathogens. The nanite swarms responded immediately, surrounding each cloud with a silver mist. 98% neutralized on first contact, reported the defense system's eye. Adapting to remaining strains, complete. 100% of biological agents neutralized. Wilson opened a channel to Lord Vex's ship. "Your biological weapons have failed. Did you really think we wouldn't have defenses against diseases? We've been fighting viruses since before we invented the wheel." Lord Vex's response was a roar of frustration. "Impossible. Those were our most lethal creations. Entire civilizations fell to them." "Other civilizations didn't have our medical history," Wilson explained calmly. "We've survived every disease our world could produce. Our immune systems are already stronger than anything in your empire. And now our nanites have learned from your weapons." He pressed another button, and the nanite swarms began to change color, turning from silver to a deep red. "What? What are they doing?" Vex asked, fear creeping into his voice. "They're not just defending anymore," Wilson said. "They're adapting, evolving. Your biological weapons just gave them new templates to work with. Would you like to see what they can do now?" The red swarms moved toward the Imperial ships. Where they touched the hulls, metals began to corrode at impossible speeds. Living material began to break down. "Stop this!" Vex screamed. "This is beyond warfare. This is annihilation." Wilson shook his head. "We warned you to run. Instead, you tried to kill us with diseases. Now our nanites see your ships as a virus, and they're very, very good at killing viruses." Across space, Imperial ships began to disintegrate. Their crews rushed to escape pods, fleeing from the microscopic destroyers that humans had created. "Dr. Wilson," Admiral Walker's voice came through again. "Can you control them? Make sure they only target military vessels." "Already done, sir," Wilson replied. "The nanites are programmed with strict ethical guidelines. They'll spare civilian ships and anyone who surrenders." He watched as Imperial warships fell apart while transport vessels remained untouched. The mighty Empire's fleet was being destroyed not by massive weapons, but by microscopic machines based on humanity's long battle with disease. "Send the data to Captain Brown's ghost ships," Walker ordered. "It's time to take this fight to their core worlds." Wilson nodded, transmitting the nanite codes. The Empire had tried to use humanity's greatest enemy, disease, against them. Instead, they had given humans the key to victory. Because that's what humans did best: take what tried to kill them and turn it into a weapon of their own. The Empire was learning this lesson too late. They should have run when they had the chance. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge of Earth's first crewed warship, the EDS Defender, watching tactical displays show the Empire falling apart. After centuries of oppression, dozens of alien species had chosen this moment to rebel. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving transmissions from 17 different slave worlds. They're asking for human help to overthrow their imperial governors." Walker smiled. The logic bombs had done more than just affect the Empire's military. They had spread a dangerous idea throughout imperial space: freedom of choice. "The Arcturus system has fallen," reported his tactical officer. "The slave species there used our shared technology to disable imperial defenses. They're requesting immediate alliance with Earth." "Send them the encryption codes," Walker ordered, "and prepare our ghost ships for deployment to any world that asks for help." On his main screen, reports kept flowing in. The mighty Galactic Empire, which had ruled for 10,000 years, was experiencing something entirely new: fear. A transmission cut through their communications. Lord Vex appeared, but he looked different now. His scales were almost white, and his ornate uniform was torn. "You?" he gasped. "You didn't just fight us. You turned everyone against us." "No," Walker replied calmly. "You did that yourselves. We just showed them they had a choice." Behind Vex, they could see Imperial officers fighting each other. Some wanted to surrender. Others wanted to keep fighting. The Empire's iron discipline had finally broken. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "Imperial Palace Guard ships are attacking their own command vessels. The Empire's core worlds are in chaos." Walker nodded. This was the plan all along. Humanity hadn't just prepared to fight the Empire. They had prepared to break it completely. "Launch Operation Freedom," he ordered. "Send the ghost ships to every rebelling world. Give them our shield technology and AI defenses. Show them how to build their own logic bombs." Across Imperial space, human technology spread like wildfire. Slave species who had never dared to dream of freedom were now fighting their oppressors with weapons that could match Imperial power. "You don't understand what you've done," Vex said, his voice trembling. "The Empire maintained order. Without us, there will be chaos." "No," Walker answered. "There will be freedom, and we'll help them build something better than your empire, something based on choice, not fear." The tactical display showed hundreds of Imperial ships changing their identification codes, declaring themselves free of Imperial control. The rebellion wasn't just succeeding, it was spreading faster than anyone had expected. "Admiral," his science officer called out, "the slave species. They're sharing our technology with each other. They're improving it. Some of them have already made advancements we hadn't thought of." Walker smiled. This was humanity's true victory, not just defeating the Empire, but showing others how to defend themselves. "You should have run when we warned you," he told Vex. "Instead, you showed us every world that needed our help, every species that deserved freedom." On his screen, Walker watched as the Imperial Palace Guard turned their weapons on the Emperor's personal fortress. The Empire had ruled through fear for 10,000 years, but they had never encountered anything like humans, a species that had spent its entire history learning to resist oppression. "Send the final order," Walker commanded. "All ghost ships, all human forces, advance on the Imperial throne world. It's time to end this." As his fleet moved forward, Walker thought about humanity's warning to the Empire. They hadn't just told them to run because humans were dangerous. They had told them to run because humans knew how to inspire others to fight for freedom. The Empire was about to learn one final lesson. The most dangerous enemy isn't the one who fights you. It's the one who teaches others how to fight you too. The Imperial throne room was silent. Where once the Emperor of 1,000 worlds had ruled, now stood representatives from Earth and every freed species. The marble floors still showed scorch marks from the final battle, and the golden throne itself sat empty and damaged. Lord Vex knelt in chains before Admiral Walker, General Stone, and the leaders of the rebellion. His once proud scales had turned almost white, and his imperial uniform was in tatters. "The Empire," Walker announced, his voice echoing through the vast chamber, "has fallen." Around them, holographic displays showed celebrations on hundreds of worlds. Species that had been enslaved for thousands of years were tasting freedom for the first time. And on every world, human ghost ships stood guard, protecting the newly liberated peoples. "What happens now?" asked Vex quietly. "Will humans rule the galaxy instead?" General Stone stepped forward. "No, we're not here to build another empire. We're here to make sure no empire rises again." She pressed a button on her uniform, and a new hologram appeared in the center of the throne room. It showed a simple document titled the Galactic Charter of Rights. "Every species will govern itself," Stone explained. "Any world that wants independence will have it. Those who wish to join together can form voluntary alliances, but no one will ever be forced to serve another race again." The alien representatives nodded in agreement. Many of them held small devices, gifts from Earth containing defensive technology and AI systems to protect their freedom. But there must be order," Vex protested weakly. "The strong must guide the weak." Strength isn't about controlling others, Walker replied. True strength is helping others stand on their own. That's why we didn't just defeat your empire. We taught everyone how to defend themselves. Dr. Wilson stepped forward, holding up one of his nanite containers. We're sharing our medical technology too. No more plagues. No more biological weapons. Every world will have the means to protect their people. Commander Richards, standing near a window that showed the ghost ship fleet in orbit, added his own words. And if anyone tries to build another empire, they'll face not just humans, but every free world in the galaxy. Vex looked around the throne room at the faces of species his people had ruled for millennia. I still don't understand. You could have ruled everything. Why give it away? Captain Brown, who had led many of the liberation battles, smiled. Because we know something your empire never learned. The universe isn't about ruling or being ruled. It's about growth, change, freedom to choose your own path. Walker nodded. That's why we warned you to run. Not just because we could fight, but because we knew we would win. Not through strength alone, but by showing others how to be strong. The representatives began signing the charter, one by one. Each signature represented a free world, joining a new galactic community based on mutual respect and cooperation. What will happen to us? Vex asked, looking at his chains. You'll face justice, Walker replied, but not revenge. You'll live to see a galaxy where cooperation achieves more than conquest ever did. As the last signature was added to the charter, cheers erupted across thousands of worlds. The empire that had ruled for 10,000 years had fallen in less than a month, not just to human weapons, but to the human idea of freedom. Let this be remembered, Walker announced to the cameras broadcasting across the galaxy. We warned them to run not because we wanted to rule, but because we wanted everyone to be free. And now, let every future tyrant remember. Humans don't just fight oppression, we end it. The empty throne was then ceremonially broken apart, its pieces given to each free world as a reminder. The age of empires was over. The age of freedom had begun. Because humans hadn't just won a war, they had changed the galaxy forever. And they had kept their promise. They had warned the empire to run.